"What's cooking?" Detective Toni Santiago said into her iPhone. She noticed the time on the screen reading 6:42 before she answered. She'd been running on the tree-lined campus of the College of Mount St. Vincent not far from her apartment in North Riverdale. Holding the phone to her damp ear with one hand, she listened and walked, dripping in her blue and gold Fighting Irish t-shirt and shorts, and held her bulldog Vita's leash with the other. The dog had a lock on Tony's empty bottle of Poland Spring between its slobbering teeth. "A priest?" Toni said and stopped walking. She swiftly swiped sweat from her ear, put the phone back, and continued to listen. "In the face?" she said, and started to walk again as she listened. Vita waddled alongside her. "For crying out loud," she said. "Crime scene there yet?" She stopped again, didn't budge. Vita stopped again, too. "Good. All right. I'll be there in 45. Toni made it to Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church by 7:45. Channel 7 Eyewitness News and New York 1 news vans were already parked across the street, with others pulling up. A few of the reporters were using the backdrop of the church as they spoke into their mics. There was yellow crime scene tape across the front steps, leading to the entrance of the rectory. Barricades had been set up on both sides of the rectory steps to keep parishioners and passerby from blocking the entrance. 2 uniformed cops stood like Corinthian columns on either side of the rectory door. One held a clipboard and took down the IDs of everybody who stepped up into the rectory: EMTs, crime scene unit investigators, medical examiner personnel, night watch, and Bronx homicide detectives. Names, ranks, titles, shield numbers. Toni shouldered gold detective shield to the officers, as did her partner, Detective John Geddes. After their IDs were noted, Toni and Geddes ducked under the yellow tape and entered the threshold of the murder scene. As soon as they stepped into the rectory, a couple night watch detectives pointed them to the kitchen without comment. In their walk down the narrow, dark hallway, Toni noticed one still candle under a clear red cover that washed the walls in just a whisper of flickering red light. When they reached the doorway of the kitchen, they stopped and took in the spiritless, bloody body of Father Manny Gonzalez in the rear. The back of his head had landed on the hard linoleum floor near the sink. A stew of blood radiated around the priest's head like an aureole. Toni turned back to look at one of the night watch detectives. "Anybody else here?" "Priest in the office back by the front door," the detective said, and nodded in that direction. "Father Gribbins." "Okay, thanks. You need us to stick around, or you got this?" "No, we got it now. Thanks for the response." Toni stepped into the rectory office, where the priest was sitting on an upright wooden chair in the far corner, like he was being punished. "Father Gribbins?" Toni put out her hand to the priest. "I'm Detective Santiago. I've been assigned to lead this investigation." Toni pulled up another wooden chair nearby without letting the priest's hand go. Toni only stood a little over 5'2", but sounded taller. "Thank you, Detective," Gribbins said, and shook Toni's hand. Toni held his hand a little longer than she would have normally. She was struck by how soft the priest's hands were. Not that this should have surprised her considering his line of work, but she had no illusion, not for 1 second, that those soft hands couldn't pull a trigger if necessary.